All right.
Me.
Unique New York.
Fratelloni's Hardware and Garden Stores brings you Garage Logic podcast number 1040.
1040.
March 21st, 2023.
Okay.
And boy, they had a nice spell back in the late 30s. It was 76 degrees on this day in 1938. That's 2 days in a row for 1938. It had a cold spell. I find this unusual. In the year of the great floods locally, it was 8 below on this day in 1965. I think I'll go right into that flood information as soon as we hear the introductory music.
And now, from the mayor's office above the boathouse on the east shore of Spoon Lake, it's Garage Logic with Chris Reavers manning Technology Corner, Kenny Olson from the Krabby Coffee Shop, John Heidt in the newsroom, and of course, the rookie. Here is your flashlight king, fireworks commissioner, and the keeper of common sense, your mayor, Joe Soucheray.
Stillwater apparently is preparing for what could be the worst flooding in 22 years, which makes me reflect on that ridiculous statement yesterday. What is an old-fashioned winter?
It's stuck in your craw, isn't it?
But there is no such thing. It cannot be defined. In any event, when I was in high school, we got pulled out of school. I believe many high school kids did, to work on flood prevention. And
Really?
that was, Stillwater. I got the Stillwater call. I think other guys might have gone elsewhere. We were put on a bus, and off we went. We did sandbagging and what have you. And that would, Lyndon Johnson came to town. And
Wow.
there's a famous picture of him pointing at the water very helpfully. And, Stillwater had a terrible flood in 1965, but we had yet to see weather become a principle of theology. We had yet to see it become religious in nature. And so it was just a flood, and kids got out of school, and it was cool, and you went and tried to help. And
Okay.
there was a great band. There was a great local rock band in the Twin Cities in that era. They were called the Morticians.
Okay.
I don't know if John maybe ever heard of them. He might be a little young.
Only from you. You're the only place I've heard of them.
And I remember working sandbag by
doing a Mueller ad?
sandbag with one of the Morticians, and I thought that was pretty cool. In any event, now here we're going to have a whole different look at it this time. This will be climate change, whereas in 1965 it was just apparently not an old-fashioned winter. It was a tough winter. The other question I have is, aren't we having exactly the kind of melt that would help mitigate a flood? Very slow. It's very cold.
Yep.
It was rainy for a couple of days where it was.
The snow is disappearing only incrementally, giving Mother time to absorb it. And yet we have the hysteria building. We're bracing for major flooding on the St. Croix, as predicted by the National Weather Service. Local leaders, I would presume that means Stillwater, are considering declaring a state of emergency. We've had floods, but this one is one of those ones that are tricky because a fast melt, a snowstorm, or a big rainstorm in April could really make the difference, said Corey Butner, owner of Leo's Grill and Malt Shop.
Okay.
I don't know of that establishment,
Well, that sounds like a great
Downtown
place.
Stillwater?
apparently.
Yeah.
Yes,
right.
they have a little window open where you can get a to-go order, great malts, burger baskets.
Yeah, it's great. I've
It's
been there
on
too,
the corner.
yeah.
It's right on the corner.
It's right down from
heart.
the bridge, right?
Well, and that's
Yes.
the area of town they're trying to keep dry. That would be the Main Street area.
But I've never seen the water. It's made it maybe to the parking lot, but I've never seen it hit inside the Lowell Inn or Brian's.
Well, I believe the Lowell Inn is a bit up on the hill.
But I'm saying that parking lot, like the Dock Cafe,
I
etc.
can't help you.
Okay.
I want to hear more about the malts.
Yeah. The good stuff.
In any event, this will be portrayed as a catastrophe, as unprecedented. and by reporters who don't even necessarily consciously realize they're participating in this misinformation. But all you have to do is look up 1965, and 5 will get you 10. If there was a Whopper in 1965, there probably was in 1925 and 1895,
Right.
and all over the map. So just get ready. You'll be hearing a lot of flooding news, even though nature is working on behalf of us right now with a nice slow melt. It's very chilly. And there's really no warm-up in the 10-day forecast. There's not a 50, for example.
No, but we're solid 40s. We're not slipping down to...
Right, but solid 40s would give you a slow melt, I think.
Yes.
You get that spring. You know, in the spring of 2012, we were having 80s at this time of year.
Okay, yep.
High 70s
really nice,
at this time of year. But Kenny, you have a new way to look at. We have a climate warning on the front pages of both Minneapolis and St. Paul papers today. We need to diffuse that climate time bomb. And there's a but in there, but we still have time. So
Right.
how long are they going to sell this BS to the public?
Yeah, we still have time. We have all the knowledge we need, all the tools we need. We just need to implement it, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My new approach to climate change. Well, let's remind everybody what your angle is first.
Well, my angle is that the climate's changing, and it always has.
My angle is it can't change fast enough. I am pro global warming.
Yeah.
Bring it on, you punks.
Okay.
I'm sick of this BS.
That's another thing I want
at it.
shouted from the extraterrestrial manifestation. Once it appears above Earth, I want them to address that. Why don't you idiots quit worrying about the climate? That's the least of your problems.
Mm-hmm.
The least of your problems.
It's big money, Joe. It's big,
really
big
is.
money.
It really is. Follow the money.
It's bigger than Big Farm.
Yeah. Human activities. Oh, I don't even want to do it. I'm not going
No, it's
not going
hard
to.
to get through. All it does
Same
is
story
make you
you've been
angry.
reading for 25 years.
Yeah, it's all propaganda.
Do you know that
Sick of
the Morticians,
Right.
Mortishans, 63 to 68.
Yep.
They drove around in a hearse.
They had a hearse.
And they
Maybe
had...
that's where I subconsciously get that 59 Pontiac ambulance hearse in my
I think
mind.
so. But the coffin-shaped guitar cases were another feature. One of the dads was a carpenter, and they made coffin-shaped
They
guitar
were
cases.
very good.
Yeah.
By garage band standards, they were very good and very popular.
I'm
Who
getting
are the
this from
members? Do you have a list?
minipalmusic.com.
Do you have a list of the members, Matthew?
The original lineup is Steve Pullen on vocals, Tom Cafferty on lead guitar, Chris Nelson on rhythm guitar, Hugh Kramer on bass, Roy Pinky Hirschleb on drums.
Yeah, I don't know any of them.
And they give, if you go to minipalmusic.com, you can see the history of those guys.
They'd all be in their late
residing-
70s by now.
Currently residing in the Where Are They Now file.
Right.
We have some audio, Chris. Yep.
We do.
Of a Minnesota legislator named Kaoli Her, H-E-R, Laotian by birth. She's a member of, she represents in St. Paul District 63A. And the argument can be made when you look at the map that 63A is virtually the heart of St. Paul.
Okay.
And
Give me the boundaries.
she's a regressive. She's a turd. The boundaries are 94 to the north,
Okay.
35 to the east,
Got it.
and then Summit dropping down to St. Clair, dropping down to Jefferson, then back up towards Western.
That is the heartbeat. Yeah,
South,
for sure.
and she represents. And then 64B would be, which is, she misses by a few blocks representing me.
Over there on Maine.
I'm represented by a guy named Dave Pinto, who's a Ramsey County prosecutor, handily wins his DFL place in the legislature. I don't know Dave. I've never met him. It might be that he's reasonably convinced that winning is not a problem for him.
It's more of a formality.
And in fact, a Republican gal ran against him, Lorraine somebody. She didn't even bother contacting the Pioneer Press last autumn for any information. She never responded to the
It's a bold strategy.
So he won as handily as he wants to. Kaoli Her wins as handily as she wants to. I'll give you an example of that. Let's see. She won in 2018. She won 19,000 votes. Her Republican opponent, Patrick Griffin, won 3,500 votes. In 2020, she had almost 21,000 votes. Her Republican candidate, Sherry Shack, had 3,400 votes. And in the most recent election, she received 18,000 votes, and a Republican named Dan Walsh got 3,000 votes.
Okay.
So it's no wonder we're experiencing what we're experiencing. It's very hard for the country's cities closest to the tallest buildings to break out of these progressive strongholds. I know many of my neighbors, and I look around and I don't know why they vote for who they do. But both Kaoli Her and Dave Pinto, he's a Ramsey County prosecutor, they both are terribly Mysterian. They're regressives. And they both have just absolutely no trouble winning.
Why? But there has to be a group of not Republicans, conservatives, light conservatives in that area. That
seriously, I'm going to answer you seriously. Maybe 5 or 6.
How can all these?
Kaoli was born in Laos. She came to the U.S. as a Hmong refugee. She grew up in Appleton, Wisconsin. Then she's got quite an educational resume. University of Wisconsin, Bachelor of Business Administration, the University of St. Thomas, studying education leadership. I don't think you can flunk that. Northeastern University, Master of Business Administration in International Management. She was a policy director for Mayor Melvin Carter. So she floated to the top of the 20 or 25 people with meaningless jobs who worked for Carter and became a state legislator. She's married and she has 2 kids, and her husband's name is Kong.
Kong?
Kong. I wonder if she calls him King when
King
they're getting
Kong?
frisky. Hey, King. Yeah. So I don't know Kaoli. Might be a great gal. I don't know her. She represents 63B. And it came up, and I have this courtesy of an emailer, Katie, who writes, I ran across this on Twitter, and she writes in parentheses, my news source of choice.
Atta girl, Katie.
And thought you should see it. This is Minnesota State Representative Kaoli Her mansplaining. No, be person-splaining, lady-splaining.
She-splaining.
Anyway, I digress. She is explaining, and this is amazing for a regressive to take this position. She is explaining that allowing boys who pretend to be girls to play in girls' sports is totally okay because girls don't end up playing professional sports anyway.
Oh, if I say that, I'm in trouble.
Oh, of course you are.
Ooh.
So, and Katie adds, so let me get this straight. The regressives are now telling us that girls and boys who dress up like girls can be anything they want. Well, except for being a professional athlete. I am so confused. The regressives are anti-women, pure and simple. They are putting men in dresses in positions of power over women, and they're not even trying to hide it. Of course, Representative Vang, Her, has had to take her Twitter account private because of the backlash, so maybe there is hope for us yet. Now, you have to listen to her carefully. She has a wonderful accent. She knows her English very well. I'm not suggesting that, but she speaks very quickly.
All right.
It's fair competition. I am so sorry, but our cisgender girls are going to be just fine. You know what? Society is built in a way that accommodates us already. I had an athlete who was a USA Olympic was on the track to being an Olympic gymnast. She trained with Sunisa Lee for 10 years. Whether she lost in competitions to a girl or somebody who was a trans girl, her outcome was going to be the same. She didn't go to the Olympics. She was going to be a D1 athlete, which only 7% of high school students go to be that. Actually, only 7% going to play collegiate sports, and 2% make it to be D1 athletes. And then from there, only 2% of that 2% makes it to become a pro athlete. So the fears that we have around a fair competition, it is fair. And the few trans girls that play with other girls, our cisgender girls, will be okay. So what I wanted to shift away from those conversations because they are not rooted in reality.
Why does this come up? What's the percentage of?
It was a House file, I believe, right? Wasn't it? There was.
Yeah, look it up, Rook.
I think I have it here. It's House File 173, equality under law provided in constitutional amendment proposed.
This is what our problems are in Minnesota?
But here's how you might break it down, and it's what the voters of St. Paul don't ever consider, because they keep voting in these people. What she is doing, and I don't think I'm going to be engaging in hyperbole here, she is sacrificing the freedom of a person's individuality for the greater good as she sees it, which is transgenderism. No, I'm not ready yet. For transgenderism. And so it doesn't make any difference to her if she's depriving a female athlete from her own competitive successes, just so long as that female athlete has to compete against a guy who's pretending to be a girl because she's in favor of guys who pretend to be girls. Well, you're depriving the female athlete of her legitimate competitive experience. Mm-hmm. And you don't care about that.
And that shouldn't get in the way of progressive ideology.
Because your means justify your end.
Right.
Effectively making her anti-woman.
To me, it does. You're certainly not acknowledging these young women who work their butts off trying to be athletes.
Yesterday we had the Woman of the Year.
Woman of the Year, Minnesota's not a woman.
Right.
And you're depriving them of their legitimate competitive choices and successes. The women are the ones getting the short end of the deal here.
You're right. And what they should do, not joking, they should have the trans games where if you changed over, that's fine. See what kind of sponsorships you get. And if it can support itself, everything's great.
That makes too much sense.
You know, the pole vault? Boy, who wouldn't tune in to see that?
Yeah. Well, Pat and I were going to found the National Pole Vaulting Association.
Right.
Female pole vaulting.
Yeah, but she's playing with the gals.
Well, I'll tell you what. We were talking about this weather breaking. It hasn't yet, but it's bound to. And when it does, I hope you're on your scooter or your electric bike or your 4x4, your exotic motorcycle from EcoFun Motorsports. 2 locations, EcoFun Motorsports in Forest Lake, Highway 97, just go immediately west of Interstate 35, and down in Burnsville off the Service Road of Life near County Road 42. The home to electric bikes, Pintelli electric bikes, the gas-powered scooters that turn every errand into adventure, really nifty golf carts, all-terrain vehicles for kids, those little off-road vehicles, just some really neat stuff. Great apparel and helmets. You got to have the helmet. Yep. Put the helmet on the noggins of those little ones. Great service and great people. They've been with us from the beginning. We love EcoFun Motorsports. So will you. EcoFunMotorsports.com.
Hey GLers, it's Reavers here, and you've heard me talk about my relationship with Josh Arnold for quite some time now. And the reason I advocate that you give Josh a call is simple. Well, actually, it's 2 reasons. Trust and results. Josh has seen it all when it comes to economic and market conditions. As he says, past results do not guarantee future returns. Well, that is true. Josh can make sure that your retirement objectives match your investments. And you can trust Josh to make sure that you are not paying more in fees than you are selling in returns. Yes, that is more common than you would think. So do yourself a favor by booking a 48-minute free consultation that has absolutely no obligation. Call Josh today at 952-925-5608. That number once again is 952-925-5608. You will be glad you did.
Investment services offered by Josh Arnold Investment Consultant LLC, a security investment advisor. Past performance is no guarantee of future results. All investments involve risk. All comments and opinions are Josh Arnold's and do not constitute investment advice.
Chris Reavers is a paid endorser.
You know, this year, the big secret came out on Garage Logic. Minnesota Masonic Charities is out. And again, in 2006, Several long-standing charities of Minnesota Masonry combined to create one umbrella organization, Minnesota Masonic Charities. Mission, promote even greater levels of philanthropy. And again, they spread their money out. And this week, we're going to focus on Crescent Cove. If you go to their website, crescentcove.org, you will see some of the stories, some of the kids and the families that have been helped with the help of Minnesota Masonic Charities. There's a lot going on at Crescent Cove, and they do need people to help out. They do need donations, and that's where Minnesota Masonic Charities comes in. If you would like to help or you want to learn more about Crescent Cove and the great work that they do, which is why the Minnesota Masonic Charities chose them as one of the people that they're going to donate some of their treasured money. If you want to help out, if you want to learn more about Minnesota Masonic Charities, give them a call, 952-948-6200. 952-948-6200. They'll be very happy to tell you about all the doings over at Crescent Cove and how you might be able to get involved as well. So crescentcove.org or mnmasoniccharities.org to learn more about the great people. You know, a lot of times the news isn't good. Oh, this is all great news. People helping people without any government intervention. mnmasoniccharities.org.
It's the end of the world as we know it, and he feels fine. Joe Souchere.
You're not going to really go out and buy some steel box called a safe from a glorified lumberyard, are you?
No.
Yeah, do yourself a favor first. Click on over to maplegrovelockandsafe.com. Take a gander at the Liberty lineup of safes. They not only provide the best protection from calamity, they have lifetime transferable warranties and just absolutely the best safe made right here in the United States by citizens of the United States. And you need to pick that thing up at Maple Grove Lock and Safe, 6901 East Fish Lake Road. Meet the owner, Rich, a stand-up guy. He's going to make sure you go home happy. And by happy, I mean the safe that best fits your needs. He'll also bring that thing home for you and set it up. He's a stand-up guy. The Liberty Safe at Maple Grove Lock and Safe, the best thing ever made. Forget about buying some generic steel box from anywhere else. Get up to Maple Grove Lock and Safe. Check them out on the web, maplegrovelockandsafe.com.
I want you to play Kaoli Her one more time, because I've noticed something else in her remarks, and let me hear that in order for me to be clarified.
It's fair competition. I am so sorry, but our just cisgender girls are going to be just fine. You know what? Society is built in a way that accommodates us already. I had an athlete who was a USA Olympic was on the track to being an Olympic gymnast. She trained with Sinisa Lee for 10 years. Whether she lost in competitions to a girl or somebody who was a trans girl, her outcome was going to be the same. She didn't go to the Olympics. She was going to be a D1 athlete, which only 7% of high school students go to be that. Actually, only 7% going to play collegiate sports, and 2% make it to be D1 athletes. And then from there, only 2% of that 2% makes it to become a pro athlete. So the fears that we have around a fair competition, it is fair. And the few trans girls that play with other girls, our cisgender girls, will be okay. So what I wanted to shift away from those conversations, because they are not rooted in reality.
Does that keep going?
No, it's 50 seconds long.
Kaoli, you got to learn how to speak.
Get out of my head.
More slowly. It's just ridiculous.
Why was she so pressured? She had time.
But the fact that the girls aren't going to go on to be Olympians or world champions or professional athletes or whatever the hell she was trying to say doesn't matter.
No.
You're talking about a girl that had a chance to be the best in her school, in the state, in the division, whatever, in the country, and you're taking that away from them.
Which is why I'm puzzled by why someone like that can win a vote so overwhelmingly.
Right.
Now, when I say she represents the heart of St. Paul, both she and Dave Pinto represent the heart of St. Paul when you combine those districts. And by the way, there's just too many districts. And we have too many legislators. I believe it's the fourth largest legislature in the country, which is
Congratulations
ridiculous.
to us.
Which is ridiculous.
So you mentioned her speaking tone.
Right.
get out of my head because I thought you were going where I was going to go.
I don't know where you were going.
So just picture because I've been attending Garage Logic, the University of Garage Logic, for some time now, and I've developed the Joe Souchere ear.
All right.
Separated at birth. Ready?
Yeah.
So what's her name again?
Kaoli Her.
I am so sorry, but our cisgender girls are going to be just fine. You know what?
And that sounds like...
As the official sponsor or the official vehicle of Major League Baseball, Chevrolet is proud to participate in this prestigious award.
He was a little bit slower, though.
Along with our dealer.
But it's that same nervous...
I got to get this out. Bud's looking
But
at
the
me.
fact that she just writes off cisgender girls
100%.
as being completely insignificant.
What does
their hopes
cisgender mean?
And their hopes and dreams just don't matter in the long run.
Straight.
Means, yeah.
Okay, get back to
Normal.
this. Get back to her area,
Girl.
63B, Heart of St. Paul. Let's call it the northern half of the Heart of St. Paul, and Pinto would have the southern half of the Heart of St. Paul. If you voted for her, and that's her name, her, it stands to reason that you are very keen on feminism. It would stand to reason that you are very concerned about females getting a fair shake. And then you vote for this person who just got done telling you right there that she doesn't give a bleep about your daughter. Your daughter's going to, because I'm so advanced.
How advanced?
And I'm such a regressive. That I want boys who pretend to be girls to compete against your daughter, and I don't care what you think. Don't worry about it. Such a small percentage of them advance anyway. What's the problem?
Right.
Well, she's diminishing your kid.
Yep.
Whether
Doesn't
you're
matter.
black or white or Hmong or Hispanic, whatever, she has no care whatsoever for your kid. None.
Just so we know, according to the LBGTQIA Resource Center, cisgender refers to a gender identity that a person or society deems to match the sex that a doctor assigned them at birth.
You don't get assigned anything at birth.
Which one are you checking here, Doc?
You don't get assigned anything.
I think it's obvious.
You either are or you aren't. Well,
But they're creating new types of hogwash.
I just think that's fascinating because I don't think she's unusual. I think all regressives this corrupted ideologically, I think all of them would sacrifice means about any topic if it justifies their ends. So you're not getting anything sturdy from them. You're not getting anything formed in bedrock. You're not getting anything that has a ground floor. You're getting whims. You're getting whimsy. You're getting whatever they wish to float at the moment. And apparently, all of you people in St. Paul find this agreeable, which it's fun to try to figure out who people are. Who are the more than 3,000 people that voted for her just 6 months ago, 5 months ago, or whatever, over a guy named Dan Walsh, and he didn't do a very good job of making himself known because I can't place him.
No,
I don't.
doesn't ring a bell.
I don't. He got 3,128 votes. She got 18,080 votes, and she's up to nothing but destruction. She's up to the destruction of convention, tradition, the America as we know it. A true Mysterian. A true Mysterian.
I'm sorry.
Huh?
Nothing.
A true regressive.
Yep.
A turd.
A true regressive.
In a world of bad ones.
Yep. Same with Dave Pinto about, I don't know, but he just overwhelmingly wins. And he has checked every box for his progressive identity. He's a member of AFSCME Council 5. That's the public union. Public union shouldn't even exist, but that horse left the barn 50 years ago. So it's very interesting. And then just as an aside, to help answer the question of just who are these people voting for them? You'll recall during the story yesterday we discussed, which was the front page story in the Sunday Pioneer Press about we better brace for different kinds of winters as opposed to old-fashioned winters. There being no such thing as an old-fashioned winter. And the reporter managed to find a few people out shoveling their sidewalk or whatever and got a quote from them and I'm paraphrasing, but suggested to them that the mayor wants to raise the sales tax to generate funding for the streets and plows. And the answers of the people were, well, I guess that's okay if we get more trucks and things of that nature. They don't even realize what's happening to them.
Right.
They have no idea what's happening to them. Are they just going to wake up one day and it's over?
Yeah,
and then are they going to wonder what happened?
Then she's too late, bruh.
It's truly incredible to wonder why you're voting for regressives. They're taking you backwards. They offer nothing innovative, entrepreneurial, competitive. They offer nothing to advance the well-being of people. Their only contentment is in advancing the well-being of some sort of weird collective they envision. And that's why, to Kaoli Her, it's perfectly natural that she sees boys pretending to be girls competing with girls because they're all one now. They're all the same. No, they're not the same. They're physiologically incredibly different.
Well, they reject that on that's no.
They would reject what I just said.
Yeah. No, they don't believe that.
Yeah. Even though even though they're the same people that say we believe in science. Follow the science. I've often seen these signs in St. Paul, which is another example of coming to an understanding of who's voting the way they do. The signs in yards that say, we believe in science and a bunch of other admonitions.
We believe in the science that agrees with us.
And I've never once seen a person outside belonging to that house with that sign.
So you could ask them?
So, because I always want to ask them, well, you say in your sign here you believe in science. What about gender? And see what they'd say. Many of them would have no answer. They just put the sign up. But they have no clue as to what it really means.
Because you can get them a sign.
I can get you a sign by 3 o'clock.
The question is, whose science do you believe in? Which version? The woke version or the tried and true and tested and proved science?
Kenny, did you see the science guy, Fauci, going door to door yesterday? None of you guys saw this?
No.
Fauci's going door to door. Hey, get your booster.
What door? I mean, people's homes?
Neighborhood?
Yeah, neighborhood. And this guy unloaded on him. And he was basically talking about the science. It was spectacular.
Speaking of science, remember the most powerful governments on Earth can't solve homelessness, but they say they can change the Earth's temperature if you pay more taxes.
That's right. That's right. L.A. now is suffering a transit crisis because no one will ride public transit because of the extraordinary catastrophe of drug use on the public transit.
Boy, that sounds familiar, doesn't it?
Which is the same here.
Why have we let that go? Why is that?
Because the people who run the cities closest to the country's tallest buildings are not competent people. They are Kaoli Hers.
But when it becomes a problem where you've got druggies and thieves and murderers on these trains, why can't they have a police presence to say, we're done?
Well, they don't have enough cops to...
They do, but they don't have enough.
Plus, they don't like cops.
What was that? I want to write that down, Joe. Oh, what was that?
That was a great line.
What? They're Kaoli Hers.
Kaoli Hers.
Well, they're regressives who can't link.
Well, look at San Francisco. The gal calling for defunding the police is now begging for more cops.
What, is this a safe statement? Tell me if this is a true statement. And many regressives would tell me it's no longer a true statement. Look at the way the Star Tribune intimated in its editorial about Bud Grant that his kind is done. You know, the crew-cutted, blue-eyed white guy who goes out and shoots ducks. That guy's gone. Isn't it a fundamental bedrock of American society to compete?
You would think, yeah. We would think. It used to be.
And when you Kaholi her it, that's gone. It's gone. Your little girl who's been getting up at 6 in the morning since the age of 6 to become an AAU swimmer and then swim for her high school and then hopefully get a college spot on a swim team. She really loves swimming. She's been deprived of a fundamental bedrock American principle that I am competing in a correct environment of my competition.
It's extended into schools. We don't want GPA. We don't want a salutatorian. We don't want a valedictorian. Everyone should be equal upon graduation.
Excuse me.
Your mic's off.
Salutatorian.
You're going to buy everybody lunch.
No, I'm staying away from the idea. I'm staying away from the idea that Kaholi Her was born in Laos, that I'm glad she's made a life for herself and she got to this country, which presumably is a better situation for she and her family. But can I really expect her to embrace and love fundamental American bedrock? What would she know about it?
Yeah, they came to this country, why? For a better life. And you got it. So why are you screwing up what's working? I do like her name as a kind of like a golly gee whiz. You just said Kaholi her it. Mm-hmm. We're just going to Kaholi her it here, okay? Kaholi her it.
Well,
yeah.
Bud Grant was a toxic male, and the toxic males are dying off and turning into trans women.
Well,
and that's what's
Bud
happening.
would approve.
you know, Bud could have made a lot of friends if he had a man bun.
I'd love to see.
He could have been a friend of the editorial department if he only had a man
You don't
bun.
think Bud Grant's the type of guy that would have spent $16 on avocado toast?
No, I heard a funny story. I told you about the letter. Well, I saved it for Monday Night Sports Talk. So maybe GLers didn't hear it, but I bet they did. I know of a fellow who recruited Bud to speak at a men's smoker.
Oh, yeah.
And Bud said, well, if you want me, there's no smoking. And so they got him, but there was no smoking.
And this is a place where every year, no matter who it was, you'd open a door and it was just a plume
Right,
of smoke.
but they're in a way, they're thankful for that turnaround because now there's no more smoke
correct.
in there.
That is correct.
So Bud also told whoever was recruiting, I like to be paid in 20s. So he likes $20. He liked the $20 bills.
Who doesn't?
You know, a lot of the times the guys that are doing that will kind of go, "Hey, here, here's for the kids. Take her back
no,
here."
if there was one turkey leg left and you're on the island,
Bud's getting it.
in fact, if Jesse Ventura
Wow,
and
boy.
Bud Grant
Play it out for me here.
were on an island,
Yep.
and there was one turkey leg, one of them's dying. I don't know which one.
Would they arm wrestle
But
over
one
it?
of them's dying.
You know what? The Gov would give it to Bud.
I'm afraid so.
I just out of respect and being a lifelong.
Oh, no,
Viking-
no. I thought you meant give it to him in terms of beating him up.
No. I mean, he'd give him the turkey.
The hell he would.
He would.
No, not if he was hungry.
Bud.
Not if he was hungry.
he'd
How about
give-
if we share?
He'd give
You
Bud
take a
the-
nibble, then I'll
Yeah.
take one.
He'll give him the turkey neck, is what he'll give.
I don't know.
What year was that Bud spoke? Was that a long time
back
ago?
in the
2006?
Oh, so it was.
You know, it's kind of funny. I did that same gig once. I didn't get paid.
Yeah, I think
Didn't we do it as a group?
I think I kind of intercepted that and said, you know what? I'll take his check and make sure he gets it.
Yeah.
He's not going to take it
I
anyway.
think that's what you did.
He's not going to take it anyway.
My jeweler is R.F. Moeller. It's the only one. Now, people are not going to believe me, but it's the truth. You know the mayor. Why would I even go to a jewelry store? Well, when I do, it's Moeller. And that's the one I've been going to for many, many years. I know the Moellers. They're friends of mine. They've been owning and operating this family-owned jewelry enterprise since 1951. They're on the same corner in St. Paul, Ford Parkway in Cleveland, but in a brand new renovated showroom. It's absolutely gorgeous. They've been there for more than 70 years.
Yeah, I drove by it today.
More than 70
Beautiful
years. They're
store.
also at 50th and France in Edina. And they've got you covered. Jewelry to celebrate every milestone, birthdays, anniversaries, engagement rings, wedding rings, graduations, everything from sterling silver to fine jewelry with diamonds, sapphires, rubies, and other gemstones. And they're gorgeous. They're beautiful. The great watches. Not many people even wear a watch anymore, but if you're going to, why not wear a watch that makes sense?
That's right.
Beautiful. You leave it behind in your estate plan. You leave it to some kids. Go to rfmoeller.com, a wonderful website, wonderful people. I've known them for edge. You can even design your own ring. They have a program for that. They have artisans on staff.
I think Matthew did. Matthew and Haley did.
And everything stays in-house. Repair, everything stays in-house. They're one-stop shopping for the finest jewelry in Minnesota. rfmoeller.com.
Hey, have you made your appointment yet? Well, I got news for you. You're running out of time. So do it now. Keller Tax Service. She's a GLer, and she's here to help. She's been at it over 20 years. She moved to Minnesota back in 2016 from Orange County, California, and she prepares all types of returns for all types of professions and businesses. And if you're interested, she's also perfected the virtual tax appointment. It's either via video or over the phone. She has safe document exchange options, both encrypted and secure. It's the confidence of a professional with the convenience of staying at home. She has competitive pricing to do-it-yourself software, and find out for yourself. Book that appointment today, 320-352-0013. That's 320-352-0013, or visit her website, kellertaxservice.com. She's the best. She's also a GLer. She has Saturday appointments available and also evening appointments available. So please book your appointment and let Linda know that you heard about her here on the Garage Logic podcast.
Truth, justice, and the suture.
That beautiful lawn, it's just a click away, professionalturf.com. Won't be long, that snow on your lawn will be gone, and if you want the best lawn on the block, go with the pros at Professional Turf, a Minnesota lawn care company since '82. Schedule yourself a free in-person lawn care analysis and estimate right now, professionalturf.com. And a ProTurf Pro will come out, walk your grass, assess the situation, customize a slow-release fertilizer and weed control plan that is environmentally safe and guaranteed for superior results. A beautiful, healthy lawn. We're talking no crabgrass, no dandelions, no broadleaf weeds. It's just a click away, professionalturf.com.
Here is Mr. John Heidt.
Thank you, Joe. And this news is brought to you by the fine folks at ProfessionalTurf.com. The Tri-Council of Iowa UE Local 49, Teamsters Local 120, and Labor's Local 363, representing St. Paul City employees, did reach a tentative agreement last night that'll prevent a strike, according to a union representative. Union members will vote on whether or not to finalize the agreement on Thursday. It would impact more than 100 unionized St. Paul City workers. The unions represent city employees responsible for plowing snow, filling potholes, and a lot of other duties around the city. Negotiations have continued between the city and the workers' three unions since their contract expired back at the end of 2022. The workers represented by the Tri-Council approved the strike authorization by unanimous vote on March 8th. Employees are asking for more competitive wages to attract more staff. Sentencing, this is a follow-up awful story that we had when it first happened. Two people who have been convicted of charges stemming from the murder of a Minneapolis woman who was 7 months pregnant have now learned their future. A judge sentenced a woman and a man in that case. Julia Russell will serve over 16 years in the Shakopee prison. In addition, she'll receive 492 days of credit for time previously served. Russell had taken a deal earlier this month after pleading guilty to one count of second-degree murder, unintentional murder, that is, and one count of second-degree murder of an unborn child. Meanwhile, the man in that case will serve nearly 29 years in prison, a concurrent sentence for both murders. Benson and Russell were also ordered to pay a restitution of around $6,000. This all happened after the body of 28-year-old Anissa Zierhut was found in a burned RV in Minneapolis in November 2021. Criminal complaint says a fire inspector found signs of combustible gas on a mattress and the victim's body. A witness told police a woman was seen driving a black Tahoe with the RV attached. The woman had asked the witness for a cigarette, and a short time later, the RV was on fire. 7 people injured after a car and 2 light rail trains collided in downtown Minneapolis last night.
Did you get hit by a light rail train?
You're wrong.
It's your fault.
No, you're wrong.
I am?
Yes. Go ahead, John. I'll do the story.
Excuse me.
I know what you're going to say, Chris, but let me read the rest
I would
of the
normally
story.
agree with you, but you're wrong in this case.
And 2 people in the car were extracted from the vehicle, which became wedged between a northbound and a southbound train after being hit at the intersection of 5th Street and Portland Avenue South. According to Metro Transit spokesperson Drew Keir, one of the victims in the car was taken to the hospital in critical condition. The other suffered minor injuries. 5 people on the train suffered non-critical injuries. Both Green and Blue Line trains were back in service as of this morning as authorities investigate how the crash happened. Preliminary investigation indicated a westbound car in Portland entered the intersection about 2 blocks from U.S. Bank Stadium at about 9 p.m. and was hit by a southbound train. The collision pushed the car into a northbound train that was also at the intersection. Mr. Reavers,
The train ran a red light. The car was going through the intersection as it was turning yellow. The train never stopped. And
how do you know this?
There's dash cam video I would assume it's a squad car that was behind this guy.
What I saw in the video
How can a train run a yellow light? The train's too long by the time it...
No.
train...
Stop. Okay, trains are going east and west.
You got a greenie and a blue.
The car is going southbound. Okay,
no,
so
it said westbound.
Well, whatever. It's intersecting where the trains are running.
Right.
So it was going into the intersection. The train ran through the red light and hit the car.
Okay.
That's what happened.
I was confused because when I watched the video on the news, it looked like the light was yellow. And I don't know if that was just the traffic light was yellow for the car to go through.
It had turned yellow when the car went through it, yes. But the train still was supposed to stop completely. And
right, because they have either this or they have the stop sign.
And the problem is that this happened just over here a couple of years ago where that kid was killed and the train ran through the red light and nothing came of it because they can't be...
They're protected.
They're protected.
They can't be prosecuted.
Yeah.
You know what I would do? There's no hurry for these trains. They're useless.
There's nobody on them except
drug users and other malcontents. Why don't you just make those things go about 5 miles an hour? Just don't let them bother you.
Use less. How about use less?
Yeah.
But that would take all the fun out of racing the train down University
That's
Avenue.
true.
That's a good point.
True. Yeah, that's true.
Although you got to avoid all the potholes, Kenny, now.
Or when it goes by you and you're at a stoplight, you're looking at the bolts on the rails to see if they move, if they really move, or if it's an optical illusion.
What?
Try that next time. See if the rail moves up and down.
I'm going to try that.
Or is it an optical illusion? My wife and I differ on this. I think they're moving.
Is this big subject, big talker in your house?
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Around 2,000 people arrested last week in a sex trafficking operation in Hennepin County, according to local law enforcement. Monday afternoon, Bloomington Police Chief Booker Hodges says a total of 23 men were arrested on March 15th and 16th, and a 24th man is under investigation. According to Hodges, the men all responded to an advertisement that showed pictures of an undercover officer seeking prostitution services from a sex worker. All the men arrested were booked at the Bloomington Police Department and were released pending charges. Hodges was joined by members of the Eden Prairie, Maple Grove, and Richfield Police Departments, along with the Hennepin County Sheriff's Office at the press conference, said all those departments frequently work together in similar operations along the 494 corridor. The chief noted the highways and number of hotels in that area make it a potential hotspot for human trafficking, and the agencies will continue working together to stop trafficking and hold anyone who engages in the act responsible. A shortage of corrections
so they
officers.
answered an ad in the back of City Pages magazine or something like that.
Correct.
Whatever.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The oldest trick in the book, huh?
Yep. That's where I usually go.
I couldn't believe my luck.
Yeah.
A shortage of corrections officers in state prisons continues to be a challenge for the Department of Corrections. Commissioner Paul Schnell telling our friends at 5 Eyewitness News his agency is doing all it can to close that employment gap. Schnell said the DOC is authorized to have 2,100 officers in its correctional facilities across the state, but the agency can be short anywhere between 200 and 300 officers on any given day due to the shortage. That includes illnesses, vacations, and extended leave. The DOC has tried to increase pay to entice more hires, but it hasn't worked out as they planned. Schnell said they could get bonuses as high as $10,000 to come and work here. You got half of that in 1 year and the second half at the end of year 2, but we found half those people leave before they collect that first payment. According to the DOC, there have been 8 assaults on prison guards since May 1st, and the majority of them were at high-level facilities in Oak Park Heights and Stillwater. In fiscal year 2020, which was part of the pandemic years, there were 19 assaults in the entire year against correctional officers statewide. Schnell said the staffing shortage means there is less opportunity for inmates to get the type of programs that they need to help keep them in prison and keep prison staff safe. Schnell said nothing happens in a prison without having a security staff. We know that not having people involved and not being active, idle makes things worse, makes the facilities less safe. Hennepin County Attorney Mary Moriarty says charges have been brought against 6 people ranging from illegal gun possession, intent to sell cocaine, meth, and 34 pounds of fentanyl. The arrests follow an investigation by several agencies in and around the Twin Cities. Moriarty says her office is now working with the U.S. Attorney to decide the best jurisdiction to prosecute the cases either at the state or federal level. The suspects are from the Twin Cities area. One's from Moline, Illinois. Arrested, 28-year-old Matthew Rewald of Minneapolis, 35-year-old Pierre Flowers of Eden Prairie, 27-year-old Dewan White of Minneapolis, 44-year-old Greg Collins of Minneapolis, 43-year-old Courtney Rowe of Moline, Illinois, and 22-year-old Kevin Fenner from St. Paul.
Well, the 22-year-old Mary Morality has to let go because his brain is not fully formed.
Right, sure.
Got to be 25.
Hey, do we have to give her credit here, though?
Why?
No, she'll do whatever it takes to get these people back on the street.
Yeah. Okay. Yes.
No, she gets no credit for anything ever.
Okay.
She's lost the benefit of the doubt.
Mary Morality.
Mary Morality. Because you can't say Moriarty.
Yeah.
The Star Tribune reporting St. Paul Public Schools wants to hire more than 200 teachers and teachers' aides ahead of the next academic year. The state's second largest school district is setting aside a total of $1.3 million in hiring and retention bonuses to get there. District leaders are specifically hoping to fill 70 special education positions come this fall. The spots come with a $10,000 bonus paid out over 3 years. Executive Chief of Human Resources Patricia Pratt Cook said about 17% of the district students qualified for special ed services and called the bonuses a proactive step to ensure our students have the best educators in the state. Scott Cronquist, Executive Director of the Association of Metropolitan School Districts, said districts across the state have been looking for ways to ensure that they're fully staffed. Several, like St. Paul, have turned to hiring and retention bonuses as a way to convince teachers on the brink of retirement to stay or to quickly hire for those same positions.
John, I have an email pertaining to that from Roger, a GL lawyer. I call your attention to 3 page 1 stories in the Pioneer Press today. First, there is a push to spend $1 million on signing bonuses for new teachers. Second, there is an article proposing spending $10 million on new math curriculum to raise the miserable math scores in Minnesota schools. And finally, there is a story that is predicting the end of the planet in the 2030s. Why spend all this money on schools if there will be no planet to live on in 10 years? Boom, boom, boom. Thank you.
Hold on.
Yep.
A Twin Cities man described by prosecutors as an anti-government militia sympathizer with a desire to kill black activists and liberals has admitted to possessing a machine gun, a grenade launcher, and illicit drugs in his home. 50-year-old Darian Huen of Anoka pleaded guilty in U.S. District Court in Minneapolis to possession with intent to distribute methamphetamine and illegal possession of the machine gun. Huen, who remains held in federal custody without bail in Sherburne County Jail, now faces at least 5 years in prison and up to 11.25 years according to a plea agreement. The plea deal signed by Wen includes him admitting that he discussed an interest in a revolution or coup d'etat. Prosecutors said in their criminal complaint that a paid confidential source described him as harboring anti-government 3%er ideology and desiring to be part of that militia group. The source added that Wen had a 3%ers flag in his garage and discussed a desire to kill liberals by blowing them up or doing the same to members of the Black Lives Matter movement.
There's a club called Coup d'etat over in Uptown. They have killer croissants.
Rookie and I had a
Really
date
like
night
them.
there. Wasn't that coup d'etat?
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
We had that
We
cider.
will have,
it was really
jalapeno
good.
cider.
That was really good.
we'll have more news right after this.
Thanks, Johnny Cake. I'm going to warm you up here, baby, because your place, if you need a furnace, maybe a tune-up, maybe a replacement, whatever the case may be, welterheating.com. Welterheating.com has 4 generations and over 100 years of experience. So why are you going to trust something as important in your home, your furnace, whatever the case may be, your air conditioning unit? Don't trust it to fly-by-nighters that have a cute jingle and say, hey, we're here, we're here. Welter has been here for over 100 years, and they'll continue to be here right here in Minneapolis. And if you want to request a quote online, maybe you have some questions about something's making noise and you're not real sure, they will come out. If it's an emergency, they've got 24/7 emergency service during the winter hours. And you know what? You can call them and they'll come out right away. They are busy, but they understand if you're a garage logician, you want help right away. If you want to go old school, call 612-825-6867, 612-825-6867. But just remember, welterheating.com. Ray and Welter Heating. The whole family's in this business, and they're doing a great job, and will do you right. Tell them you're a GLer. For heating and air conditioning services, only trust Ray and Welter to heat your shelter at welterheating.com.
You cannot stop him. He'll just make a move. Joe Souchere.
Oh, this is very pleasant.
Very pleasant.
Soothing.
In other news,
No.
Russian...
Kenny Olson is here.
Kenny has to... See, now I screwed it up. You know, nobody can get this right.
Should I just make a chart for you guys and just...
Yeah. Joe, you better never let me pick on you again for that kind of stuff. Huh?
Yep.
Tri-State
Kenny, your
Bobcat
I gotta
can
listen to
help.
Dylan play
Just
the
shut the hell up. Just shut up, morons.
Everybody.
Trying to talk to the GLers, the faithful listeners, and Tri-State Bobcat can help us all with our space management game. We're going to get more snow, face it. It's only, we're only in the second fall spring right now, so we have to be ready. Get into Tri-State Bobcat today. Get yourself a Toro snowblower. It's the big spring sale. We're selling 2 of them on sale, the Toro Power Clear. That's a single stage, and the Power Max 2-stage snowblower also on sale. Little Canada, Hudson, Burnsville. Best deals of the year, and whichever one you opt for, you're going to be praying for snow. It really makes snowfall fun. And that's the same thing with Toro and their zero-turn lineup of mowers. Not only do they cut the mowing time, they make it a blast. Just throw those levers forward and hold on for dear life. We're selling the Time Cutter and the Titan zero-turn mowers, 42 to 60 inches. Discounts anywhere from 10 to 20%. And if you're anywhere near O-Town, Mankey's Outdoor Power Equipment in Owatonna, now part of the Tri-State family. So all the pricing and promos is the same down in Owatonna. Make sure you tell them you're a GLer when you stroll in. Tri-State Bobcat in Burnsville, Little Canada, and Hudson. And on the web, tristatebobcat.com.
Hey, I figured out what an old-fashioned winter is.
What is it?
It's any winter prior to this BS of alarm.
Oh. It's just that simple.
Yeah.
Megabus to, you can't go directly to Chicago. You can go to Milwaukee, $46.
Okay.
And then there's a click. You can click on a thing that says special needs.
And the reason Rookie's reading that is we discussed that during the break.
Yeah.
Oh, did we? Was that?
He's
Just
confused
so you
about
know.
which show we're doing
yeah,
right
I
now,
don't-
Yeah,
Matthew.
I'm trying to get back to John.
I don't
right
even
now.
listen to the shows
I
that
don't
I'm
really care
on.
about the bus.
Now, see,
Joe
it's
doesn't ride the bus.
Yeah, but if I
But
did,
if he did,
Honk, honk.
hold on. There we
You
go.
forgot the horn.
in other news, Russian cruise missiles intended for use by Moscow's Black Sea Fleet have been destroyed by an explosion in the city of Zankoy in the north of the Crimean Peninsula, according to Ukraine's defense ministry. Ihor Ivan, the Russian-installed head of the Zankoy administration, was quoted as saying the city had come under attack from the drones and that a 33-year-old man had suffered a shrapnel injury from a downed drone. Meanwhile, Vladimir Putin and Xi Jinping are holding a second set of talks today. The Chinese president's trip to Moscow has been viewed as a major boost for his strategic partner, Putin. The Chinese leader is expected to continue to position himself as a potential peacemaker in the Ukraine war during his two-day visit to Russia, his first state visit since the invasion. Speaking of Russia, a Russian fighter jet intercepted a pair of U.S. nuclear bombers as Putin ordered his own planes into the sky. Footage taken from the Su-35 shows it flying beside one of two massive B-52s, while Russian Tu-95 Bear nuclear bombers were seen taking off in a show of force. The encounter between the U.S. and Russian planes was the first between the sides since that drone clash they had last week. Before the B-52s were intercepted by Putin's planes, photo shows them being escorted by Polish F-16 jets over the Baltic Sea. In the latest incident, Russia's defense ministry said its radar detected two targets which were identified as U.S. Air Force B-52H bombers. Ministry said a Su fighter jet took to the air to prevent a border violation. The U.S. said no violation of the state border of the Russian Federation happened and would never have happened anyway. That Virginia teacher who was shot and wounded by her 6-year-old student says it has changed her life. Says she has vivid memories and nightmares about that day. First grade teacher Abby Zwerner talked with NBC's Savannah Guthrie on Monday, said it changed me. It changed my life. She said she's still in shock and can't make any sense of it. Said, I'm not sure when the shock will ever go away because of just how surreal it was and the vivid memories I have of that day. Speaking publicly for the first time, Zwerner said in a portion of the interview that she's had a challenging recovery, including 4 surgeries, has some days when she can't get up out of bed, while others she's able to go about her day and make her appointments. Zwerner was hospitalized for nearly 2 weeks after being shot in the chest and left hand. She taught her class at Rich Neck Elementary School in Newport News, Virginia. The shooting rattled the shipbuilding community and sent shockwaves around the country, with a lot of people wondering how a child so young could get access to a gun and shoot his teacher.
I can help her. The shock won't go away. You'll just learn to live with it.
Yep.
That's how it works.
What did we ever do with those parents that made that firearm accessible? Or is that still up in the air?
I don't think we ever have addressed that yet, have we? A Fox News producer yesterday filing a pair of lawsuits alleging the network's lawyers coerced her into providing misleading testimony in Dominion Voting Systems' $1.6 billion defamation case against the company. The lawsuits filed by Abby Grossberg, who worked as a senior booking producer for Maria Bartiromo and most recently head of booking for Tucker Carlson, accused Fox's legal team of having engaged in wrongful conduct as it prepared her for a pretrial deposition in the election technology company's case. The lawsuits from Grossberg, who has since been placed on administrative leave, were filed in Delaware Superior Court and U.S. District Court for Southern District of New York.
This just in, it's breaking news from Stacy, the GL geologist. A large one in the middle of the country, 6.5 earthquake in the Hindu Kush region of Afghanistan. She is unclear as to the damages. It's just breaking, but that's a big one. 6.5 in Afghanistan.
Wowzers. Hopefully not a lot of destruction and death, we hope. Former President Trump's effort to keep key evidence out of his civil rape trial next month rejected yesterday by a federal judge. Judge Lewis Kaplan in Manhattan ruled that key witnesses will be allowed to testify about remarks Trump made about women in 2005. Those are the ones, of course, that were caught on tape. A trial in the case filed by E.G. and Carroll is scheduled to start April 25th. Carroll and Trump both expected to testify. Carroll said in a 2019 memoir that she was raped by Trump in the mid-1990s in a dressing room at Bergdorf Goodman, an upscale Manhattan department store. Trump has repeatedly insisted he never met Carroll at the store and didn't know who she was. Kaplan had previously ruled that taped remarks Trump made in an Access Hollywood tape could be used in the defamation case Carroll brought against him before she filed a rape claim against him in November. From the Oops Department, 2 thick wooden beams inside a Massachusetts museum were pierced over the weekend by a musket ball fired from an antique weapon.
What?
Huh?
Yeah, members of the 6th Middlesex County Regiment were practicing Sunday at Westford Museum for an upcoming Patriots Day reenactment when one of their loaded muskets went off, firing a projectile through a 6-inch beam and a ceiling joist.
Did the roof come down?
No, but luckily nobody was upstairs. There were several people inside the museum when the shot was fired. Leslie Howard is president.
Gary the musket.
Leslie Howard is president of the museum. He said they were in the back of the museum. I was in the corner helping a visitor with a museum shop purchase, and the musket went off and it went through the beam.
Oh.
Luckily, officials say nobody was upstairs when the round pierced the floor. Westford police were called about the incident, and the musket was confiscated from the reenactment group. Westford Police Department Captain Jim Peliquin said anytime a firearm is involved, no matter what it is, whether it has a live round or a cartridge, it can be very dangerous. He added, I hope they do continue to do the reenacting because I think I enjoy seeing the reenactments, which is a weird quote. I think I enjoy.
Yeah.
I think he also said, I think it can be fun for children to see and really bring history alive. I just hope it doesn't bring it too alive.
John, thank you.
Oh, wait a second. Is that a
Yes.
Revolutionary War reenactment group?
Yes, that's correct. Patriots Day reenactment, so I'm assuming it's Revolutionary War.
I'm reading a book right now called Confederates in the Attic. And the book starts out where the author is visiting with a lot of these reenactors from the southern United States, that reenact Civil War battles.
Sure.
And they're really, really hardcore. And most of them wish that they could use live rounds.
That's taking a little too far.
It's a real interesting read, let me tell you.
Do you want an authentic show, Joe, or not?
There's things going on out there that
but
we just...
the reenactors take it too far, though. Yes, how did you arrive here today? I took my minivan. What is minivan? How do we arrive? Steamboat or via horse? How did we...
John, thank you.
Hey, Frank, my minivan's right over there.
Certainly welcome, Joe.
Each one of the
At least if you got hit
reactors...
by a musket ball, you could find it.
Right. It would just kind of boom.
But pluck it out of there,
Yes, we have some... do you have any... Neosporin I could put. What is this Neosporin you speak of with your cut here? Let us go to the
Why
barber.
are you doing puke and snot?
Yeah, what is
I don't know, I'm just seeing Fort Snelling. Whenever I go there, that's how they...
Yeah. Why don't we take a time out?
You're off to jail with your ball and chain.
What do you think about the state of water in the state of Minnesota, sir?
Yes, what
We
is
have
water?
good water.
Well, no. We have some of the worst water in the state of Minnesota, which is why
You purify it.
you need Hofferman water.
I see.
They do. Seriously, Minnesota
What
has...
is this Hofferman water? Is
Well,
this Minnehaha Falls?
They're an independent water treatment dealers, sir, because Minnesota does. It's on record. We have some of the hardest water in the entire country right here in the state of Minnesota. So now's the time for you to make the switch and contact Hofferman Water today. 952-894-4040. It's springtime, and it's also their busiest time of the year. So get on the schedule now, HoffermanWater.com. They offer sales, service, and rental options for Connecticut water treatment systems, which are the absolute best. And also iron, rust, and odor filtration systems and brand new drinking water systems. It's going to vastly improve the quality of the water inside of your home. 952-894-4040, or just visit HoffermanWater.com. Hofferman Water has been proudly serving the state of Minnesota for over 50 years. Tell them that you heard about them here from Puke and Snot on the Garage Logic podcast.
Of course. Revenge of the
Here's a
Nerds?
man who spends hours in hardware stores, sifting through the nuts and bolts of life. Joe Souchere.
Yeah, Flashdance.
I thought that was Eddie Van Halen for a second on the keyboard.
I can see that.
Right now is an excellent time to book your spring and summer projects with Aim High Construction. The owner, Chris Miller, not only a long-time GLer, he's also a veteran. And boy, him and his crews, they just do a dandy job on all things related to construction, and that's both residential and commercial, indoor, outdoor. A lot of you might remember I used them when we were getting our house ready for sale in South Minneapolis. Boy, they really forced the equity up. We got a good price because of Chris and his crew, and they did it all for us. Both a kitchen, some concrete work, a new deck, an AC unit, and they do it everything. Roofing, siding, interiors, bathrooms, basements, flooring, garages, shops, whatever you need. They do amazing work. They are the best. Get in touch with Chris, Aim High Construction, mn.com, and do it right away. They've got a full schedule. They're very busy. They always like putting GLers first, so get on the horn. And remember, when you go with Aim High, you are going with the very best. Get in touch with Chris, Aim High Construction, mn.com.
Last week, we met through the reporting of a guy named Dave Orrick for the Star Tribune, a woman named Tyesha Green. She was the head of the Department of Racial Equity, Inclusion, and Belonging in Minneapolis. An absolutely meaningless job title that cannot be measured for anything. It had nothing to do with reality, except Ms. Green met reality when it was discovered that she apparently was not prepared to fund a black expo at the Minneapolis Convention Center. She promised that various philanthropic organizations were going to come forward, and it turns out they were never even asked for contributions.
Right.
And then she resigned, and we now learn today, Orrick is following up on this, that she's written a memo to her superiors claiming that she's had to work in a toxic environment of anti-black racism, meaning she was treated poorly by other black people. So this is just, I don't even want to go into
That's
it. Because,
double secret racism.
Well, there's a couple of things to note. One is, this is what happens when you appoint people to meaningless jobs. They get very upset if their meaninglessness is taken from them.
Right.
And so she lashes out and said, well, this isn't fair. I was working in a toxic work environment. So all you people get what you deserve. They're eating their own, aren't they?
Yep.
I mean, that's what it boils down to. She was given this job. She apparently had this job in Vermont, and she came here to accept this non-factor of a job. And now she screwed up this Black Expo deal, and she's fighting back. She's not going to settle for the fact that she apparently or allegedly screwed it up. She's going to counter with, I'm a victim. It's so typical of what's happening. The closer you get to the country's tallest building, it's not worth going into.
$500,000 out of the taxpayers' pockets for her little con job.
That's right. And taxpayers continue to vote in Minneapolis the way they do in St. Paul. These people continue to get elected.
But it's just fun that she's accusing black people of racism against black people.
Right. Probably because everyone that she's involved with happens to be a black American, and she has to lash out against somebody because she can't accept any responsibility for her incompetence.
So Robin Wansley, Latricia Vita, Jeremiah Ellison, Jamal Osman, Andrea Jenkins, they all hate black people.
That's right.
Okay. All right.
Just like Kanye said about George Bush. George Bush doesn't like black people.
Yeah.
With Mike Myers going, what?
I got a note from Fred from Indiana, a working stiff.
Okay.
And he writes, "Hail the Flashlight King.
Hail you.
Here is an attempt to link the government to more college students enjoying spring break. While reading about spring break shenanigans that goes on at this time of year, it occurred to me that I will be paying for the privileged young souls to escape the long winter and enjoy the ritual of what has become spring break vacation. Here's the math. Young person gets $10,000 of our money if the student loan bailout occurs. Young person spends 4 to 5 years in college. While in college, each year the student enjoys spring break at one of Florida's fine beaches. Cost of such fun is approximately $2,000 each year. $350 airfare, $450 for 6 nights hotel or shared, $150 a day in spending for food, souvenirs, cover charges, beer, whatever. That math adds up to roughly $2,000 for spring break, a conservative number. I worked full-time while going to college, did not go on spring break vacations, and saved myself roughly $10,000 by not spending money on spring break vacations. After I graduated, my loans were small enough to pay off in 3 years. Here's the link. The government will guarantee that you, a student, has the right to enjoy a spring break vacation paid for by the rest of us working stiffs. Once that is a norm, more students will feel they can afford spring break vacations. More money spent, good for the economy, and that's why the government will find a way to do this. So students, don't hold back. Go have fun. It will be paid for you after you graduate and have a loan. It is a fine mess that Biden has opened up with absolutely no constitutional authority to do that whatsoever. And I hope it gets to the Supreme Court as sooner than better. It will. And this should be struck down. Why should Fred in Indiana pay for some of these idiots to go to Fort Lauderdale?
Right.
They don't have to. They should not be made.
He saved $10,000 by not going on spring break.
Let's just
There's
hope.
your $10,000, you loan defaulters.
Let's just hope that it's just like every other campaign promise the left made, like Social Security tax.
Yeah.
That it's just not going to happen, even though they promised it when they were running.
Who are these spring breakers? When you look at the Daily Mail, which is good for covering things like spring break, has 15 pictures of who are these people?
Well,
I find it hard to believe they're math majors at MIT who suddenly are cutting it loose.
I attended one.
Yeah.
And I can say this. It's the especially the seniors that are almost done. You're letting out a lot of frustration,
I guess,
and stress over
Burning off some steam
over the long school year.
Gee whiz. That's something, huh?
And I'm not anti-spring break.
As if they weren't doing that every weekend to begin with. They just don't have a beach by them.
True.
What is that?
Yeah.
Only because they come to us?
Where?
Well, from Marloth Park in Mpumalanga, South Africa, from the Traveling Lymans at worldwidewaftage.com. What?
I am disappointed in you. I'm not mad. I'm disappointed in you.
What? No.
Your lack of coverage for the 21sters these past 2 days.
21ster, this means nothing to a 21ster.
First day of summer.
But we know that.
But you've given
Our important days are your equinox days.
Isn't that what one of these is?
No, this is just
all right.
This is just a made-up date of 21sters have been celebrating since the Super Bowl.
You're selling the 21st.
Is that when you rally around Stonehenge? You all strip down and grease each other up and dance and sing the night away?
Yeah.
Huh.
On this day, it is the first day of spring. For you normal people, it doesn't feel like it. For us, it's just a chilly summer day.
Yeah.
Right.
It's just a cool summer day.
With 8 inches about to hit northern Minnesota.
Yeah.
Just how much acid did you do in the 70s?
Well, not that much, to tell you the truth.
Who stole my car?
Zero. No, I didn't. I had buddies who watched it get stolen.
How has Royce never heard that story before?
I don't know.
That was so funny.
On this day in 1864,
March 21st.
George Edgar Vincent was born in Rockford, Illinois, a sociologist and a graduate of Yale. He served from 1911 to 1917 as the third president of the University of Minnesota and an academic house cleaner, whose reforms during his energetic term brought the institution into the modern era of education. That could have meant the beginning of the failed academy, maybe. I don't know what the modern era was. On this day in 1913,
321.
we have a candidate for the Gumption County of the Institute for the Criminally Incompetent. After a wild chase early in the morning in North Minneapolis rail yards, railroad employee and armed police detectives captured Harry Christensen, who was suspected of attempting to rob boxcars. For a time, Christensen managed to evade his pursuers by rolling under and jumping over and through coupled cars moving through the yards. But he eventually became confused and ran directly into the arms of the detectives.
Wow.
See, you got to go to the Gumption County Institute for the Criminally
He got
Incompetent.
disoriented.
Yeah, he got all turned around, didn't he,
Right.
Matt?
Yeah.
Huh?
Lucky he didn't lose his life.
He's
You know what he was doing?
confused. He was discombobulated.
He was under there watching to see if it was an optical illusion or if the rails were really coming up.
Why would you think the rails come up?
They come up.
Okay.
Why is that a talking point for you and your wife?
Well, every time a train has gone by, I look at the rails to see.
Rails do move with, on
Thank
freight
you.
lines.
Thank you, Kenneth.
They're the rail bed. They're floating.
Oh.
Well, remember,
Yeah,
we had to
floating.
have a floating intersection created in front of Minnesota Public Radio in downtown St. Paul, because they were no bigger fan of public transportation than public radio, except when they were getting windmilled, and then they had to complain and they wanted big shock absorbers put under the tracks at their intersection. So when they were interviewing some poet from Latvia, her words would not be disturbed
Well,
by a passing train.
Joe, we need to do whatever we can to help support
There
nonprofit.
once
That's right.
was a lady from Latvia who had a
Non-profit
private
my
part
butt.
so big.
They got a better newsroom than either newspaper. They don't know what to do with it, but they got it.
Yes,
They're
and
very progressive.
coming up next.
Coming up next is me saying,
Welcome
see
to
you
Mid-Morning.
later.
Welcome to Mid-Morning.
Thank you.
Yes.
I almost answered their call a couple of years ago.
Well, you should have.
Damn right I should have.
Yeah. Just like where you'd be
Regretting it
today.
now, aren't you, Kenny?
Well, if you're looking for us to spice up your life somehow, maybe listening to an alternate podcast after you're done listening to Garage Logic, I suggest you go to PodMN on your smartphone and check out the library of podcasts to entertain and educate you. And then flip over to YouTube. Garage Logic has a YouTube channel that you can subscribe to, and it's got a lot of videos from the past that you will thoroughly enjoy. Then hit garagelogic.com for the online store. See what you can gather and acquire for your Easter basket for the one you love. You know, you get Easter presents, don't you? Don't you guys do Easter presents?
No.
You guys are messed up. Your wives must really hate you guys.
Easter basket.
Get your
Anyway.
wife an Easter present.
Oh, yeah.
Right here.
I'll get it.
Right
I
under
got you.
here.
I got you.
Right under here.
Check it out, the Garage Logic Town Council, Cha.
It is time once again to check in with our guy, Mr. Money Talk. Josh Arnold is on the line with us once again. And now's the time for you. Boy, is it ever the time for you to pick up the phone and make the call for that free 48-minute financial consultation by dialing 952-925-5608. That number once again is 952-925-5608. You call that number, you get Josh. And as always, you're always going to get straight talk. You're never going to get sugar-coated advice. And Josh is with us once again. Whew, Josh, where to begin today? But today, you would like to touch on the fact that the market is showing a little bit of an improvement. You've got some information on TikTok, bank stocks, and the Fed has a meeting tomorrow.
We'll start, as we have in the past, Chris, with the Fed, because the Fed's actions seem to have continued to color what's happening with the market overall, whether it's the Dow or the S&P or NASDAQ, as well as the bond market. I do believe, you've heard me talk about this for many, many months, that the Fed has gone overboard in dealing with inflation with their very, very aggressive tightening and of overly aggressive interest rate moves in an effort to kill inflation and or bring inflation down to their target of 2%. I won't talk about how they came up with a 2% target, but that is their target. And we are still significant ways away from their 2% target. So it's my belief that despite some of the issues affecting banks, despite the issues that are affecting the value of bonds, the Fed is going to continue to increase interest rates to continue their effort to slow down the rate of inflation. In my estimation, a lot of sources of inflation have been tamed. Starting with last year, commodities peaked pretty much last June and have continued to fall off. The price of oil, which to me has been a major contributor to inflation, as oil goes through the entire system. The price of oil has come down from a high of $130 a barrel last June, currently at $68 a barrel. Still waiting patiently, by the way, for administration to replace the oil that they have taken from the Strategic Oil Reserve. But oil is down. Housing prices have come down. In February, the median price of a house fell, and that helped to boost home sales. There you go. Price of housing comes down, home sales go up. Now that you can extend out where that can lead to positives for Lowe's and Home Depot, among other companies. Wages are still up. Employment is still up. Services inflation is kind of embedded in the system. And the Fed's still working on the idea that if you can increase unemployment, wages will come down. There's still an awful lot of jobs outstanding. And the jobs that have been leading in the employment statistics have primarily been leisure, hospitality jobs, which are not high paying, and government jobs. I'm of the belief the more people working, the better it is for the economy. We can grow our way up. Nonetheless, the Fed, I do believe, is going to raise 25 basis points. The biggest impact on the market will be Fed Chairman Powell's press conference and how he couches the Fed's words to the public. I do believe the Fed will emphasize they are raising interest rates because the economy is still strong and there's still inflation and there's still more work to be done. But at the same time, the Fed is going to reassure the public that issues with the banks, which have hurt the banking sector over the last couple of weeks and just crushed an awful lot of bank stocks, not only here but abroad, Powell will say that the Fed will stand ready to backstop the banking system, just as Janet Yellen said, she being the Treasury Secretary, as she said earlier today, that regulators could act if they see any type of systemic risk to the banking system. Now, the biggest risk to the banking system, which I've covered before, is their bond portfolios. So this is not necessarily a credit event as happened in 2008 and 2009. This is a bank asset event. So the bank's holding a lot of treasuries, mortgage-backed securities of various lengths. And on a mark-to-market basis, these securities are worth anywhere from 10 to 30% less than their maturity value. Bond values go down as interest rates go up, and vice versa. Right now, banks are sitting on portfolios, their bonds valued at less than face value if they were to need those bonds to meet redemption. There you have it. It's one of many reasons I'm not a bond investor, one of many reasons I'm not a stock investor. Meantime, TikTok's CEO is appealing to American users of TikTok to contact their legislators, saying there is no problem with us, with our social media platform. We're not an agent of the Chinese government. I can't understand why anybody would want to ban TikTok, because if you're looking to ban TikTok for what people are getting out of it or social uses, then you got to look at the other social media platforms as well. The stuff I've seen on TikTok, not anything that interests me. Funny, but not anything of interest. That said, Meta, also known as Facebook, their Reels program has helped, among other aspects and changes that Mark Zuckerberg has done with the company to ramp up profitability, has helped Meta return to its prominence in terms of stock position, and Meta continues to get upgrades going forward. One sports-related issue, Nike is reporting their earnings tonight after the close. Foot Locker reported yesterday, Foot Locker cut its guidance going forward as they rejigger the company by closing stores, closing down their Champs line, and focusing on some new store formats, additionally to increasing wages as a way to retain employees. Foot Locker also said they have renewed deal with Nike, and it might be that Nike's experiment with direct-to-consumer, while profitable for Nike, has actually hurt their distribution, and that could help Foot Locker, Dick's Sporting Goods, and Academy Sports.
Very good advice, Mr. Money Talk. You heard him, GLers. Now's the time for you to pick up the phone and make that call for that free 48-minute financial consultation by dialing 952-925-5608, where you're always going to get straight talk and you're never going to get sugar-coated advice. Josh, as always, thank you so much for the time and the chat. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll talk to you again on Thursday.
You got it. Thanks, Chris.
Investment services offered by Josh Arnold Investment Consultant LLC, a security investment advisor. Past performance is no guarantee of future results. All investments involve risk. All comments and opinions are Josh Arnold's and do not constitute investment advice.
Chris Reavers is a paid endorser.